Tales from the Squeeze Notes, 22nd of March, 2022. So, picking up from last session, Dagner and Jonah were actually able to make very quick work of the Eclipse Cast. They were fighting, or rather, the apparition of the Eclipse Cast, trying to knock her out, or at least throw down a little bit of bashing damage to make her easier to handle. We learned that these apparitions, as soon as they take any meaningful health track damage, they disappear. Don't know where they go, but they're not here anymore. So that was a thing. Lawrence, however, being much faster than the other two, was long gone at this point and blissfully unaware. He had obviously found the pillar last session and was working his way up that, trying to cut through the ceiling to make it to the next floor, when he was ambushed by a Dawncast apparition. It seems like we're dealing with a full circle, or at least a full circle minus Devon, who may or may not be projecting these things into our reality. Anyway, so the Dawncast, being quite a bit tougher than the Eclipse Cast, quickly dispatched of Lawrence's Agatha, which wasn't great considering he was 2 range bands up at that point. He was able to grab on to some crossbow bolts and various other bits of debris that were hanging from the ceiling, and ride the attacking Dawncast's thrown spear up, piercing a hole in the ceiling and taking Lawrence to the next floor. At that point, she promptly disappeared, which Lawrence didn't see, but Dagner and Jonah did, arriving on the scene just a fraction of a second too late. Lawrence, of course, blissfully unaware that they were down there, heard them and thought that they were still the Dawncast trying to find another way to attack Lawrence. So he swiftly tried to make his way on upwards to save Dagner and Jonah, who at this point were totally fine. Dagner was very pleased to see the pillar, being a wonderful first stage artifact. She was very excited to get to look at this thing up close. She was able to reveal a lot more than Lawrence was. This thing has been heavily modified twice since it was constructed by 2 separate groups. Firstly by a group of exiles, and secondly by Alvewa herself. So, knowing Alvewa, being able to summon her, Dagner promptly did that and quizzed her on what had happened in this institution. We learned that this institution was dismissed to elsewhere during the usurpation by the Dragon-blooded side of things, not by the Solars. It seems that the Dragon-bloods were using this institution as a way to quickly farm Malphaean porcelain out of Hell, a material that was very useful during the usurpation times. And then once they'd done with the Hell portal, they sent it to elsewhere and rigged it to blow a big hole in Hell. Alvewa, being a demon resident in Hell, came out of Hell to put a stop to that, not wanting a big explosion where she lives. So she was able to stabilize the institution and just sort of left it in elsewhere in the hopes that one day some unsuspecting adventurers might, lower the force field and potentially unleash literally all hell on creation. So, yay us. Lawrence was quickly sent an infallible messenger and made his way back to Dagner and Jonah, and we discussed our options, finding the portal being chief among them. Finding the portal on the 4th floor, we decided to not go in all guns blazing, but having nobody in the circle who's even vaguely competent at stealth, the stealthiest option was to send in Lawrence very, very, very quickly to go spend a tiny fraction of a second in close proximity to the portal, and then return seeing as much as he possibly could in such a small amount of time, hopefully something useful. So he did that. Unfortunately wasn't seen, because I say fortunately because there was a fight going on by the portal. There were some blood apes that were trying to come through from Hell, and our Eclipse Cast friend that disappeared earlier seems to have appeared by the portal entrance, along with 5 dragon-blooded seemingly apparitions. These were Devon's personal guard, who, as the story goes, died fighting to the last man, protecting Devon during the usurpation. So definitely dead, and definitely very close to Devon. So we can be fairly confident at this point that it is Devon projecting these things into elsewhere to kill whatever they say on sight. We don't really know that much yet. But like I say, what we did learn is that put a little bit of health track damage on them, and they go somewhere else for a little bit. Apparently not that far, as the Eclipse cast just popped to the portal entrance. Seeing this, and seeing that there were some exiles able to keep the portal under a relative amount of control, we decided to leave the portal till last, go look everywhere else, and then if we decide we wanted to take the portal, we can go there, kill the exiles that are currently guarding it. Only then we will have to guard it until the 24 hours are up, and we can hop back to creation, get out, dismiss the institution back to elsewhere. Bob's your uncle. That's the plan anyway. So we split up to cover as much ground as possible, searching for anything else we might want to find out in all of the rest of the institution before we go spend, 20 hours guarding a portal. Lawrence took the lower floors, being much faster. Jonah took the current floor, and Dagna, being the most curious, volunteered to go and search the top floor. However, before we could separate all that much, Lawrence ran into Octavian, and Dagna and Jonah were ambushed by a night cast. So, we're almost at a full circle now. Dagna and Jonah didn't have too much trouble dispatching of the night cast. Now that we know, just put a bit of health track damage on them, and they'll fuck off for a little bit. They did that. Octavian, of course, being actual, literal Octavian, not an apparition, Lawrence had a little more trouble with. After a little bit of combat to make it clear to Octavian that Lawrence wasn't someone to be messed with, wouldn't be an easy fight for Octavian to win. Lawrence was then able to talk him down into, hey, how about we fight in 24 hours' time? You'll be in creation, which is what you've always wanted, isn't it, Octavian? And I will have my friends with me. And, you're a big, strong guy, though. I'm sure you'll kill us all. So, what do you say? Fight later? And he agreed, because Lawrence is good at that. And that's where we left it. So, I'm going to have to tell Dagna and Jonah next session that I've stitched them up for an Octavian boss fight at the end of all of this. But I kind of feel like that's the least of our worries right now. We'll see.